Hello and welcome to the new episode of the AWS Training for Beginners. CloudWatch is here, and in today's tutorial we are going to learn how to launch a Linux virtual machine in AWS environment. So let's begin. Open your favorite browser and point to aws.amazon.com. In previous tutorial we learned how to create a free account in AWS. So just click in sign into the console. And now it's time to log in with the root account. Root account or root user is the same as the email address we sign up in AWS Console. And let me keep in password. So after successful login, let me just save the password for future tutorial. It's much more easier. And this is a main AWS console. So we just get some notification about the new services, about how to search, how integration and the search for all the services. And just click on the services. Here is the main page for all AWS services. Things like compute, which is EC2 is included. Storage, S3, we can manage databases through all these are three main service categories in AWS. You can see other things like CloudWatch under management and governance, CloudFormation. We are going to have some tutorial on all of these topics. Here is an area for analytic, for example, or network and content delivery, which is a big topic, things like VPS and Route 53. And finally, in the security, identity, and compliance, we had IAM and other security related stuff in AWS. So go back to compute and click on EC2. Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud is a web service that provides the secure virtual machine in a cloud environment and the compute features here. So as you can see, we don't have any instance running, some basic information about that, how's the service health at the moment, what are the availability zones are we have here, and on the right corner we can choose that different region for our AWS. So US East usually is that the main region. Any new services usually introduced in this region, but you can choose whenever is nearest to you. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to work with the US West, Oregon, and just click the launch instances to create the new instance. Here we go. We can choose that our Amazon Machine Image. These are pre-built. You can see the different machine, even the Mac OS just recently introduced in a re:Invent AWS event. And now you can have various machines. Many of them are available for free tiers, and they are free tier eligible. To become easier, you can work only with the free stuff. You can click on a free tier only, and you also can have your own AMIs, so many AMIs available in the marketplace or community. So choose a free tier, and we have a different distribution of the Linux here. You can see that free tier eligible here, and here is the Amazon Linux 2 with SSD hard disk. We can have an ARM or x86 based processor. Just click select, and here is a different instance type. So instance type means that what sort of CPUs and memory we can have here. As you can see that some of them are available here for our testing for free tier, and you can see number of the virtual CPUs they have, amount of memory they have, and the storage type we can choose here. So with the T2 Micro, we have one CPU, 1 gig memory, and that we can use the EBS volume type only. Other information like network performance, availability of IPv6 are shown here, but you can see that if you go for example, the bigger machines, we have different options for different purposes. Some of the instances are disabled because this architect of a CPU doesn't support these type of instances. As you can see, some big machines are here, like This huge machine with almost 96 virtual CPUs. And AWS using the GIB is a gigabyte, so they go exactly with 1024 as an additional for each gig is not 1000 real, which is just a normal gigabit. So next, and here we can choose the number of instance we want. We can choose, in this tutorial we go with the one only. The network type, you can just leave it as default. We no need to change. The other things like we can choose the subnet from the various subnet. We just don't have any preference, so we'll leave it as default. We leave our machine to automatically assign the public IP, and other stuffs can be controlled here. One of the important part is the shutdown behavior. So we can say that if we shut down the instance, what will happen is stop or terminate the machine. So this is one of the good options in production environment. Enable termination protecting is just doesn't allow that someone just suddenly shut down your machine. So need to disable this and then terminate your machine. So we can have a more security in this case. By hovering the mouse over the eye, we can read more information about each setting. We also can enable the CloudWatch for detailed monitoring, but remember that includes some costs. Our normal instance comes with the basic monitoring, which is enough for this lab. We also can choose our tenancy type. For example, the shared tenancy means that multiple EC2 instances from different customers may reside on the same piece of physical hardware in AWS data center. Majority of the instance related configuration can be done in this page. I explain about the detail and the basic monitoring. We can have some advanced details such as a user data for running script. The next option is for adding the storage. So we can see that the default size comes with the 8 gigabyte, or just 8 gig here, but 8 times that 1024 megabytes. So that's exactly, so you can leave it as a general purpose SSD. You can have a magnetic if you like, but that's of course have a lower performance. And here you can see that these are the average and maximum IOPS we can get with this type of the hard disk or storage. We want to choose the delete on termination. So in case that you terminate your instance, it automatically will be delete the storage. We don't need to choose the encryption. The important part is a tag. Taggings are very important in AWS environment. They are very useful for management and various purposes in AWS. This is sort of naming convention. We can choose the key. We have a value for that. Let's say just put name and test Linux VM. You can go with the different things. Just have a full flexibility here by choosing the tag. So you can see you can add as much as you can. So before I go next, I need to delete the tag. And next step is configuring the security group. So it's a security group generally is like a firewall for your instance, which allow and to permit or block the traffic inbound and outbound to your instance. As you can see, by default is in this security group, we allow the SSH or the port TCP/22 from any source. So that's allow everything. We just want to add the HTTP for testing purposes. We can see all the list of the famous application ports. You can choose HTTP, so automatically choose port 80, and we can allow from everywhere one. In production environment for SSH especially, you need to choose that from your own IP address to allow the SSH. Let's add another rule. We can choose the HTTPS as well, so port TCP 443, and we can name it what name you like. Let's call it SSH web. So it means that this security group is for allowing SSH and web. We can put some description. SSH web, just like a security group. That works for now. We can reuse this security group for other instances. And finally, we can review the instance launch. So all the information we set. The instance type is a T2 micro with 1 CPU and 1 gig RAM. Is the security group apply for both IPv6 and IPv4. Other instance details, like all the settings you saw in the previous setting. Storage type, 8 gig general purpose SSD, and the tags. So after review, you can launch. It's just important is give us a security warnings because we allow the SSH from everywhere. So it's not recommended, but there's a lab environment. Never do it in production. The next step is choosing the keepers. A keeper is a way you can log into your virtual machine in this case or instance. So we just go for the create the new keeper. Remember that's very important. You just download this keeper and put it in a safe place because anyone got access to this keeper. They can, if they know the information of public information of your instance, they can log into your machine. So after downloading the key, the private part of key, we can launch the instance. And that's it. Our first instance is launched. So it's in progress. We can go to the view instance and see the status of our instances. In this page, we can see that our test Linux VM is launching. It's located on availability zone automatically in the US West 2B. We didn't have any preference, and we can see the public IP DNS as well as the original IP address which assigned to this instance. The security group we assign, the key name we choose, and the information regarding the launch date and time. So the instance state changed to running. So now we successfully run our instance. By choosing the instance, we can get other information about our virtual machine here. Private IP address, public IP address assigned to our machine, which VPC they are located, which subnet are assigned to the machine, what platform are they using, there's a Linux or Unix base, and in the security tab we can see that the inbound and outbound rules apply to our security group. So by default all the outbound traffic is allowed. We choose that what can allow inbound, so we allow that SSH, HTTP, and HTTPS for our instance. We can go to security group on the left pane and choose that our security group. Networking give us more detail about the networking setting. Storage reveal the information about the storage, and we have a status check here. How's the status of the instance? And finally the monitoring. Again, each instance when launched come with the basic monitoring, but if you need the advanced monitoring, we need to launch the additional advanced monitoring on the CloudWatch side. And you can see the CPU utilization, the traffic for a network, disk, and other information. And finally the tags tab, we can get the information regarding our tabs. So the instance is successfully launched and running. In next video we learn how to get access to this instance. If you have any question, feel free to leave in comments for me. I will be happy if I can answer your questions. Watch, learn, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching.